Welcome to the Bryce Hill Country Club in Clare Valley. We have just arrived after an hour-and-a-half drive from Adelaide, and we are out in the countryside in this beautiful country club getting ready to explore this incredible wine region of South Australia. While there are multiple winery regions in South Australia, some of the more iconic ones include the Bumbunga Valley, the McLaren Vale, Adelaide Hills, the Coonawarra, but the reason we've come to Clare is to see one of the pink salt lakes from above. These pink salt lakes are dotted around in various locations in Australia, but they can be really difficult to get to. They take 8-9 hours drive. Australia is such a mega country, but this one is only around an hour and a half from Adelaide City and around 40 minutes from Clare where we're staying. So we decided to marry it up with a stay in Clare and also to check out this pink salt lake. Clare has over 50 wineries, and one other reason it's excellent to visit as a tourist is because it's so compact. It's only around 25 kilometres from top to bottom, and we're talking from the towns of Clare down to Auburn. It also has an incredible cycling track, which is the Riesling Trail, and it's what it's most well known for. So this region grows excellent Rieslings, and you can cycle along the Riesling Trail that lies adjacent an old train track, taking you along various old attractions, old buildings, some beautiful scenery, and most importantly, the wineries in this region. So you can just leave your bike outside, go in and taste some wines, hop straight back on your bike and find the next winery. Such a fun thing to do, and not to worry if you're more of a beer fan, because there's some great breweries here as well. We've hired these e-bikes before in the Bumbunga Valley, and they are very helpful when you're getting towards the end of the day and you've still got a lot of cycling to do to get back to your accommodation. If you're a bit of a history buff, you can also check out some pretty cool things around this area. This is an old pioneering area, so there's a lot of artifacts and tributes. There's Mintaro, a old historic township. I believe it was settled in 1849, and little has changed since then. You'll be taken right back in time. Nearby in the town of Burra, you'll find Australia's earliest, largest and most well-maintained 19th century mining town. Some of my top tips and tricks in this area is to make sure you plan ahead, because it is a small town and you don't want to get caught out. So definitely have your accommodation planned so that you don't get here and it's all booked out. Make sure you have Googled what time your favourite wineries open, because they're not all open at the same hours, and especially they are not open on a public holiday, as well as making sure you've got your transport, because there are some private transport companies which will take you around on guided tours, but you'll have a bit less flexibility. I would really highly recommend, if you have an adventurous streak, to hire an e-bike. Well, let's hop to it. We are now headed off to the pink salt lake, Lake Bumbunga. We hope to catch it in its finest pink glory. Keep watching, because there is so much beauty and a few geographical masterpieces in store. Well, we've arrived at Lake Bumbunga, the pink salt lake, and I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit underwhelming at the moment on this super blustery, overcast, very chilly day. We're in the town of Lochiel, which is the closest town to this incredible lake. It is a huge pink salt lake, so we're going to go and find another lookout. One of the fun things to do here is to find Loch Nessie, which is the pink salt lake's equivalent of the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland. So let's go and see if we can find Nessie. Well, we found a mini Nessie pretty close to the road. Gonna go down and check it out. It is very overcast today, so I dare say we'll be back at another time on our trip this weekend to check out the pink lake in all its glory. We're stepping onto the salt lake for the first time, and we're about to check out one of the planted tourist attractions. A tip for all of you who are wanting to come down to the Pink Salt Lake and walk across it is wear appropriate footwear because it's pretty boggy down here. I'm going to have a bit of a mud cake to be scraping off the bottom of my shoes. Either wear flip-flops where it's super easy to clean and you just don't care about getting mud all over your feet, or wear some kind of sneakers that are fully enclosed and be prepared to wipe off the mud from the base at the end. The terrain here is quintessential SA scrubland, lots of salt bush and of course the Salt Lake. Got to be careful on these roads. They are 110 kilometres an hour speed limit and there are unfortunately a lot of accidents around, so be really careful driving in this area. Time to make our way to the main lookout area where you can walk, I think, a little bit more solidly onto the lake and to find Nessie, our favourite little Salt Lake monster. It actually doesn't matter all that much that it's a little bit overcast today when you're down here in the main area of the salt plain, because it's like walking on snow. It's actually really fun. I'm not sure if this salt is harvested. I wouldn't go eating it because people have been walking all over it, but I'm pretty sure further out into the salt plain they would harvest this salt. But a really cool thing to do and reminds me a little bit of the Uyuni salt flats when I visited in Bolivia. Definitely recommend if you have a car to drive the 39 minutes down to the Pink Salt Lake. It's super peaceful and still down here. It's literally like picking up table salt with the little crystals forming in your hands. I'm just taking a moment to walk across the lovely little crystals on this salt lake. It's crinkling under my feet. It's such a lovely sensation. Must be time to head back to the suite for a beverage.
Yeah.
What are you having?
Pike's Pilsner. Nice. What are you having?
Pike's Riesling.
Cool.
Go Pikes. Good morning, it is 9 o'clock, bright and early, and we're off to collect our electric bikes. So we'll be cruising around the Clare Valley today amongst all the wineries. Can't wait. Oh, thank you.
To get onto the trail is just where you've walked down, where that red bike is on the right there.
Yep.
Just turn right, short distance, but that's the trail just on the side of the property.
It's the Riesling trail that we follow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does the train track run along the whole way of the Riesling trail?
Yes, it follows the whole rail corridor.
Yep.
So,
is that in operation or no?
No, the large bushfire back in the 80s burnt out a fair section of
it will probably be a bit less noisy for you guys here without a train running fast.
Storage.
Our mission is to get to our first stop, 10 a.m. We've booked a wine tasting at Pikes. This is one of the more popular wineries in the region, so it is the one you do need to book for. It's also the only winery I could find that has a hat. The hatted system in Australia is semi-equivalent to the Michelin star, I guess. It's awarded to the most excellent restaurants in Australia. 4:40 a.m. and we finally made it to Pikes. Took a few little wrong turns there, but the grounds are absolutely spectacular. A few water features, some music playing. Let's get in. This is the Merle Reserve Riesling, named after the matriarch of the Pike family. It's like a citrus punch. Delicious. One of the amazing things about South Australian wineries is that in general you don't actually have to pay for your tasting. But I guess as a nice gesture of goodwill, if you do enjoy a bottle, it's a good idea to just purchase one. You're not compelled to, but we really love the Viognier, and the only problem with having e-bikes is that it's quite difficult to be transporting bottles of wine around all day when you're trying to cycle around the wineries. But the gorgeous Jess who works here has offered to take our bottle of wine on her way home to our suite in Bryce Hill Country Lodge. Thank you so much, Jess. We are back to our bikes. We're going to head on now to Seven Hill Winery. Off we go with our sing. Beep beep. These bikes are making the journey so much easier. It's a bit bumpy here. Just stopping quickly to get a photo across the Clare Valley. There are so many stops like this along the Riesling Trail and within the region to stop and get off the bike for a quick rest and enjoy the view. We've made our way down the bumpy road to Seven Hill Winery. This is the oldest in the Clare Valley region. There's these gorgeous old sandstone buildings and a beautiful church to welcome you as you come through the very long driveway. It's a bit pedally, a bit of a very stony road between the Pikes Winery and Seven Hill, so just be very careful on your bikes if you do have them. But we are ready to head on in because I cannot wait to try some of the wines here. This is one of the most well-known and iconic wineries in the region. Seven Hill have two wine flights available for offer. Their Indigo range, which is $10 for a flight of 5, and then their Premium, which is $20 for a flight of 5. We're sharing one because we have half an hour before we have to get to our lunch venue. This whole area is just so ancient and old world feeling. It was created by monks or priests in the 1800s, and there are so many relics and memorabilia on the walls here in display. This is the Indigo sparkling wine, and actually here in the estate they produce 90 to 95% of the sacramental wine that's shipped around to various churches for their communion. I didn't know that fact, so let's try it out. A very crisp and another great wine here in the Clare Valley. the underground cellar in Seven Hill Winery. It's very musty smelling, but we're here amongst some really old wine barrels. It's incredible. Check out this beautiful Australian countryside. We are en route to Skulloggilly for lunch, but we had to stop by this incredible vineyard. It's so beautiful and just spans an entire valley. We have made it to the beautiful grounds of Skulloggilly, ready for our lunch. We have built up such an appetite now, and the aromas coming from this place smell so good. Set in an 1850s stone settler's cottage, it is so beautiful. Well, that was such a stunning lunch. We thoroughly enjoyed that. I highly recommend the lamb with the local Malbec paired with it. It's now 3:30 p.m. and we are at probably our last stop at Generette Wines and Clare Valley Brewing. way home now and we are just following the Riesling trail back. It will take us all the way to Bryce Hill Country Lodge. The scenery is absolutely glorious. There is just nothing like those dry leaves, the aromas that come from them on a hot day. It's Australian summer, so you'd be pretty unlucky not to get a bit of sunshine. Almost home now and the spa bar is calling us. Cannot wait to just relax in that hot tub. The views are incredible. There are a lot of people out now on the track riding along or cycling along. I think realistically you could aim to fit in around 4 to 6 wineries depending on how quick you are and how many wines you want to taste. Sorry about that. Unfortunately the wildlife pokes its head out pretty quickly, so we haven't managed to capture a lot of it on film, but there's been so many beautiful birds crossing the pathway. Oh, one other thing that I did want to mention is that not many of the wineries actually come off of or exit from the Riesling trail, so you actually have to go onto some of the highways and smaller roads. Just be really careful because we had an incident earlier where there was a truck just cruising through at top speed and it saw us, but you just have to be so careful on those main roads. The Riesling trail itself is super safe. As you've seen, it's just like a very narrow path that followed the old train tracks, but on some of the main roads that you'll come onto to visit your favourite wineries, you just have to be very careful because there's cars and trucks and all other vehicles sharing the road with you. That being said, stay safe and you will have the best time. Finished! What an epic day! And we have 200 metres to walk until our hot tub awaits. My hands are shaking. I'm just reverberating on that bike all day. Ready to relax. Bryce Hill Country Estate is looking so glorious in the sunshine. When I arrived yesterday, it was obviously overcast and dark and a bit gloomy. So I'm just going to show you around now so you can see how amazing it is in the beautiful sunshine. One of the greatest aspects to Bryce Hill Country Lodge is that it backs right onto the Riesling Trail, so you can do everything here. It's a one-stop shop. You've got your accommodation, you can hire a bike from the Clare Valley Cycle Company, and then you can just exit through the back end of the property to the Riesling Trail. So it makes life so easy, but it's just one perk to this accommodation that works so well for us and probably for anyone who wants to hire e-bikes. It's really easy and it makes for such a hassle-free holiday. We've made our way back to Lake Bumbunga for the final day of our time here in the Clare Valley, and it is spectacular. The blue sky is reflected on the water and the salt rim, the pan around the lake, is rosé pink colour. It's absolutely gorgeous, and we are walking out to see the loch eel, which is a bit of a pun, a play on words from the local town which is called Lochiel. So he is looking very menacing in the middle of the lake right there. Every man and his drone is out today. It's absolutely pristine, the beautiful pink salt lake. I'm still walking across crystals, but it's not quite like the sloughy snow that it was the other night. It's a bit more firm underfoot, although you just still do have to take care because I can see a few footprints here who've trodden a little bit too far in. Oh, we can see someone behind me who's walking out to the loch eel monster. So there you go, there's someone who's walked out into the lake to show you just how deep it actually is. Lake Bumbunga is absolutely stunning in the sunlight. You can walk out along the salt crystals until it gets to the water, but as you do, it gets more and more pink, and there's a really beautiful pink rim as you hit the water's edge. It's not as muddy as it was the other day when it was raining. So we've come right to the perimeter, and there's this beautiful pink rim, like a really deep pink/red rim that circles just as you get to the water's edge. Let's check out the last few glimpses of this gorgeous Lake Bumbunga before we hit the road back to Adelaide. Lake Bumbunga is Copper Coast Meats, and they sell the award-winning Fritz, which is a very South Australian concoction of meats. Okay, shout out to these meat company who've won the best Fritz 3 years in a row.